I pay my obeisance to the adorable ones, all participants of Preksha meditation camp. Perhaps many of you have first time come to participate in Preksha meditation camp. So let us start from the beginning, that in what way Preksha meditation is necessary for man and how you can get the benefits of Preksha meditation. Let us start with our own existence first before we enter into the actual meaning of Preksha. You know that our existence is working at various levels. We know that our existence, our personality works at the level of our gross body. That is one level of our existence. In the same way, there are other levels at which our existence manifests itself and it has the impact on our life. The second level is the level of breathing. Many people do not know the importance of breathing. They consider it as a mere physiological process. But in the spiritual science, and especially in the system of Preksha meditation, the breathing is considered to be a very important level of our existence. So, body, the first level, breathing, the second level. The third level of our existence is our vital energy. We know that all the processes which take place in our body, they are consuming the energy. And the main source of energy is our vital energy. So in spiritual science, the vital energy is given a very important place to understand the significance of meditation and other spiritual practices. So this is the third level. The fourth level is what we call mind. But when we use the word mind, it is used not very strictly. So when we use the word mind, it means almost we are referring to the activities of our nervous system, especially the cerebral cortex, where all the thinking processes take place and we utilize our intellectual power. So this is the fourth level which we term as mind. When we go deeper in our own existence, we come across the fifth level. That fifth level is very peculiar and it is not accepted, may not be accepted by all to exist. But in spiritual science, we have to refer to it and understand it, and that is the level of our psyche, which is called as chitta. In our language, we call mind as man and psyche as chitta. As a matter of fact, it is the psychic existence or the psychic level which is more important even than the mental level. So we have to understand this. That is the fifth level, which is called psyche. The sixth level is our emotional level. We know that a human being is not a mere machine or a mechanical process, is not the only process with which we are concerned. It may be that certain processes in our body or even in our mind may take place mechanically, or what we may call as according to the biophysical laws or biochemical laws. But there are certain other factors where these laws do not apply directly. And that level is our emotional level. So we have to understand how our emotions work and how powerful they are, because they can exert the inner pressure on us, and according to the pressure or the force they exert on our mind, on our brain, on our activities of the body, we have to respond to them. So the sixth level, that is emotional level, is a very important level for the practitioners of spiritual meditation. And the seventh level is called the level of our psychic color. When we talk of psyche, there are certain factors connected with psyche, one of which is color. Color is given great importance in our system of meditation, and so we talk about psychic color in our Praksha meditation, and the technical term used in the language is Lesha. And to understand the existence of this level or our existence at this level, we may take help of one modern concept of science, which is called the aura. Aura is considered to be a colored envelope around the body of a living person, and that has a great impact or significance in our whole life. So this is the seventh level, that is the aural level we may call, or the level of psychic color. So in this way, these are the 7 basic levels of our human existence on which we have to discuss about all these things, and then we can know that how we have to practice Praksha meditation so that we can bring about the necessary change at all these levels separately or even combinedly, and through that how can we get the benefit through which we can make our life more meaningful, and ultimately we can attain our spiritual aims. When we talk about spiritual aims, it is to be understood that ultimately what we need is a pure existence of our own self. So when we talk about the self or the spirit, or as it is called as Atma, or whatever name you may give to it, that is the most important aspect which is underlying all these 7 existence. So let us now talk about each of these points, how they are going to related with our meditational practice, whatever we have to do actually as a technique, how that technique is related with a particular level or other levels also, and how they are going to affect the development of our own self. Again, starting from the beginning, we come first of all to the literal meaning of Praksha meditation. Because unless we know the actual meaning of this word, what is meant by Praksha, we cannot get the real purpose of what we are going to do. We discuss this topic on 2 levels. First, let us discuss this on verbal level only. What is the verbal meaning of this word Praksha? This word is a Sanskrit word in itself, and is also used in other languages of India, because preksha is a very common word in Indian languages, and it is to denote the function of seeing. When we see anything, we are doing preksha. So literal meaning of preksha is to see, and it has got a very deep significance in respect of seeing. That is to say that when we say we are seeing, here seeing is not mere seeing through the eyes, but it is rather the mental function of seeing, and which is very popularly called perceiving. So we can translate the word preksha through the word perception. And when we say perception, we understand that when we occupy our mind, our consciousness, our awakening attention in a particular act of seeing, of experiencing, of perceiving, of knowing, we call it as preksha. Preksha in this way is a part of our living processes. Every time we may be doing preksha, but at that time we are not involved in concentration. So we add another word with preksha, which we call as dhyan. Dhyan is usually translated as meditation, and sometimes by meditation people understand that you meditate about something religious topic or religious concept, for example, say God, or some religious activity, and so on. But in preksha dhyan, when we use the word dhyan, it merely means concentration of mind, or very precisely if we use concentration of our psyche. Because I have made it clear that psyche is a separate existence level from that of mental level. So when we say we concentrate our mind or we concentrate our psyche only in single process of perceiving, then we say we are doing preksha dhyan. That is, we are doing the practice of perception, of concentration of perception. As I told you earlier, that in dhyan, that is when it is used as meditation, mainly concentration is there, but that concentration is generally related with thinking. We can think through our mind, and when we say we are doing dhyan, we are doing meditation, we mean that we are concentrating our mind on the process of thinking on certain idea, on certain concept, which is usually taken to be a religious thing. So in this way, you can understand that when we use the word preksha dhyan or preksha meditation, our connotation is to occupy ourself in concentration, or rather deep concentration on our perception. That is the literal meaning of preksha dhyan. Now let us go further, how we have to do this preksha dhyan, how we have to see the self, because the main thing which we want to see or perceive is our own self. Therefore, in preksha meditation, when we start it, we make it clear to our own self that what we are going to do is to perceive our own self and concentrate our own self on the perception of our own self. Therefore, there is one aphorism which is repeated every time when we begin any exercise in Preksha meditation, we recite it. It is to be recited first in the original language, which is the Prakrit language, and then we translate it into English and try to understand it. So I shall first repeat it in a verse manner, that is in a form of a verse. How to recite that verse, I shall just illustrate you or demonstrate before you, and then you can also learn how to repeat it. Sampikhaye apaga mapaenam. This is Sampikhaye apaga mapaenam. When we translate it by the sentence, see yourself through yourself. This is the literal translation of this aphorism, Sampikhaye apaga mapaenam. Now, when we say that you have to see yourself through yourself, what we mean by it? Actually, by self, we have to consider our existence at any of the levels about which we have talked. The self may be at the level of body, it may be at the level of breathing, it may be at the level of the flow of our vital energy, which is called as prana, that is vital energy flow. The level may be of our mind or brain function, our cerebral cortex activity of thinking or anything, any intellectual activity may be there. So that is our mental level. And the fifth is the level of psyche, that is chitta. So we have to perceive the self at that level at which our self is working at psychical level. And the seventh is emotional level, the sixth is emotional level, and the seventh is the level of our aura or the psychic color level. So in this way, the Preksha meditation essentially consists of the practice, or rather a spiritual practice we may call it, because it is concerned thoroughly with the perception of our own self, which may be at any level, and that is to be perceived by concentrating our psyche on one of the levels of our own self. In this way, the meaning, the actual meaning of Preksha meditation or Preksha dhyan is to occupy oneself for a certain time, certain period of time, in concentration of our mind or our psyche or our self on our own self at any level of our existence. This is, in short, the introduction to the meaning, the literal meaning and the actual functional meaning of the word Preksha Dhyan. Now we have to make further inquiry why we want to see ourselves. What is our actual aim for that? It has got certain explanations which are concerned with spiritual philosophy and also concerned with certain scientific concepts. Let us first of all take the spiritual or the philosophical consideration. It is considered that our own self which is called as soul or self, a spirit or Atma or Ruh, whatever name may be given to it, it is a real existence of our own existence. We exist really, and our own existence is actually really in the form of the self or spirit, and that is the basic factor or element in our personality or in our existence. So, when we say I exist as a self, I have to remember, or I have to make it clear that what we mean by self is that which is having the power of consciousness. I have to separate that existence from other existences. Existence may be at the body level, then I have to make this distinction that the body in itself is not the self. Body is the existence at which the self works in a particular mode or manner, and then we call that as the existence of the self at the level of the body. In the same way, all these 7 levels at which the self works, we have to concentrate the mind each time when we are practicing, either say on the body or on the breathing or on the vital energy and so on. The reason is that it is believed that whenever we concentrate our mind on any of these levels, and also at that moment we have to remain free from all kinds of reactions in the form of likes and dislikes. All emotional agitation, mental agitation, all passions like anger, pride, etc. All these processes in which our self is involved every time, every moment in our daily life. Now at this moment of doing Prakshadhyan, we have to try to make the self free from this process of likes and dislikes, reactions, emotions, passions, etc. That is to say that we have to keep ourselves in a complete equanimous condition or pure equanimity, and then we call it as the pure perception. Pure perception without contamination, either with like or with dislike or any reaction or any of the passions like anger, pride, etc. In this way, this kind of our practice, our spiritual practice, we call as Prakshadhyan. So, Prakshadhyan means to occupy the own self in perceiving the own self with full concentration on perception and without indulging in any kind of rag, like or dvesha, that is dislike, any kind of reaction which may work on emotional level or mental level or bodily level, it may be any level. We have to refrain ourselves from such kind of activity which is considered to be the cause of contamination of our own self. When we say contamination, it is believed that the self in itself is a pure thing, it is a pure existence, but because of the continuous indulging in likes, dislikes, passions and emotions, reactions and fluctuations of mind, we contaminate our pure self, our pure psyche with certain forces, certain elements which hinder the development of the self and which does not allow the self to exist in its purest form. So, again we have to understand it that we practice Preksha meditation in order to make ourself purer, to make it free from new contamination of the self by through the likes and dislikes, and also to make it free from the earlier contaminations, whatever we have made in past, all because of such actions of likes and dislikes, that also are to be cleansed, so that by this dual process of preventing the self from entertaining new contaminations and making the self free from the already bound contamination. This contamination is given a name in spiritual philosophy, and it is called as karma. Karma is a concept of spiritual philosophy, and it is explained in the terms of certain level of energy which continuously has a close contact with the self, and that is considered to be responsible for all the activities of the self. If the self has to be made completely free from the bondage of karma, that is free from all contaminations, then we have to try to make the self free from it through this dual process of prevention, that is inhibition of new bondage, and making it free from the earlier bondages. In this way, the spiritual significance of Preksha meditation is to try to attain pure existence of ourself, free from all contamination of karma. So in this way, you should try to understand the spiritual or the philosophical significance of Preksha meditation. Now we come to the scientific explanation of Preksha meditation. When we say that we want to make ourselves free from the contaminations of karma or contaminations which are the result of our reactions, emotional reactions, reaction of likes and dislikes and so on, what we actually trying to do is to make our psyche, our psychic existence, which is existing in our personality, as the major factor, major element of all our activities, to make it stronger in the sense that we are not succumbing to the other forces which are acting on ourselves. For example, we know that our body has to be it is undergoing so many external forces which are working in the universe. Every time we are under the effect of all those forces. In the same way, our mind and our emotions, all these, our existence, our levels of existence, they are continuously succumbing to the powers, external forces, and due to that, every time certain transformation takes place in our personality at various levels, and they cause hindrances in our day-to-day living, in utilization of the powers, utilization of the already inbuilt mechanisms available to us at our various levels of existence. So that means when we scientifically try to interpret it, we have to understand that it means we are trying to develop our own faculties, our own energy systems, which are within our personality, within our existence, and try to develop them in such a way that the external forces which are acting on ourselves can be, the effect of those can be diminished to a certain extent, and we can utilize our own faculties through which we can make a complete or full development of our own self. So this is the scientific explanation of Preksha meditation. Then we shall try to understand each aspect of this meditational benefit we get, either at level of the body or the breathing or the vital energy and so on, in various of our practices, methods which we are going to do. Preksha meditation is not a single method. It has got various exercises supporting the same theme, that is of purifying the self from the contamination, or scientifically speaking, developing our own faculties. And for that we have to utilize the concentration power on perception of our own self at any level, and in this way the actual benefit will be in terms of removing the contaminations from the self, or scientifically speaking, making our faculties more powerful. So in this way you can try to understand how we are going to utilize our own powers to make them fully developed and to make ourselves free from the external forces. It also includes our aspect of health, that is to be made clear. Health, what we mean by health is the maximum or the optimum condition of our body, of our mind, of our psyche, of our self, in which it remains most healthy, it remains most developed, it remains in a condition of perfect happiness and peace, or rather what we call as a blissful state. So this means that when we talk of health, it means that by health we mean the actual natural condition of our own self. That is why the word swastha is used for a healthy person in our language. What is meant by swastha is healthy literally, but it has also another connotation. When we say I am swastha, I have gained my swasthya, what I mean is I am existing in my own existence of myself as it is in its natural purest form. The more I stay in the purest form of myself, the more healthy I become. That's why the word swastha and swasthya are used to connote the meaning of health. And spiritually speaking, when we return ourselves into our own nature, when we become concentrated in our own self without all external contamination, we consider ourselves to be the most healthy existence, most healthy nature of our existence, and that is what we try to attain in our spiritual practices, or even if we say in our daily life. It is very necessary that one has to remain quite healthy. So health is not merely the absence of diseases or merely the working of our body, organs or systems in a very perfect way, but it includes all the aspects of our life, the existence of ourself at all the levels, and to maintain the maximum or optimum better condition of the self. So this is what we mean by health. So we can conclude by saying that Prekshadhyan in itself is essentially a spiritual practice, a spiritual sadhana as we call it, a spiritual endeavor, effort to occupy ourselves in the process through which we can attain our own bliss, our own energies, develop our own faculties, and make ourselves completely free from contaminations of the external elements which have crept into ourselves through the processes of our mind, emotions and other bodily processes, and for that we have to practice what we call Prekshadhyan. Before we start the Prekshadhyan, we have to give attention to certain basic preconditions, because unless we know that, when we will start, we will not know how to do Prekshadhyan and in what position we have to sit, what posture we have to make, how we have to keep our body, how we have to keep our breathing, how we have to concentrate, all these things. So as a preconditions, we have to understand certain basic techniques which will help us in concentrating the mind on the self, in Preksha meditation and getting the benefits. First of all, we have to pay attention to our posture. Preksha meditation can be practiced either in sitting posture or in standing posture or even sometime in lying down posture. Three postures, three options are given: sitting, standing and lying down posture. Generally, when we do collective meditation, we prefer the sitting posture. In certain special conditions, we can also use the standing posture, or in certain special exercises, we may prefer the lying down posture. But all the three postures, lying down, sitting or standing, are allowed in Preksha meditation. When we practice it in sitting posture, we have to pay attention to our posture and see that the posture is right or correct or not. The asana, that is the yogic posture you may utilize during this posture, may be a simple posture, or it may be a posture in which you have to sit cross-legged, or you have to sit half-crossed, that is semi-crossed legged. Any such kind of posture of yogic asana you have to practice, you have to utilize during the meditation session. So that is, you have to learn how to sit. So that you have to just do the practice and acquiring perfectness in that posture. It may be a simple sitting posture, it may be a Padmasana, that is lotus posture as it is called in yoga language, or it may be Ardha Padmasana, that is semi-lotus posture. It may be also Vajrasana, the posture in which a person sits on both the legs in a particular position, that also we can utilize. So these are the various options given to you. In the beginning, for a beginner, it is advisable only to use the simple posture. You know, simple posture is to be utilized because when you sit in any posture, you have to sit steadily. Steadiness of the body is the necessary precondition to go deeper into meditation. When we start the meditation, first of all, we have to make our body completely steady. So we advise the beginners to utilize the simple posture, that you can see how it is to be utilized, and the necessary precautions you have to take there, and utilize that posture for doing meditation. And those who have got a better practice of sitting in lotus posture or any other posture, they are also allowed to employ that posture. So this is about the sitting of posture. Second thing is about the position of the eyes. Because as I have explained earlier, we have to see ourselves. Here seeing is mental perception. So it is advisable to close the eyes, but it should be closed softly. You should not forcefully close them, clench them. No, you have to very softly close it. Or even if you find it comfortable, you may keep your eyes semi-closed, that is half closed and half open, concentrating your glance or your look on the ground, so that nothing, no disturbance is created, and you can even keep it half open, half closed. Otherwise, it should be closed softly, and that position of the eyes are the best position to be employed in the Preksha meditation session. The third thing is the position of your spinal cord or the spinal column. As far as possible, you have to keep the spinal column or the spinal cord in a straight line. Don't try to bend either in front or in back. You have to make your position in such a way, you have to keep the position in such a way that the whole spinal column, it remains straight. But at the same time, you have to see that it does not become tense. Erect is the right word, straight line. But it does not mean there should be a tension in it. So you have to make it relax at the same time. In this way, you try to practice the position of your spinal column so that it remains straight, but there is no tension in it. So keep it relaxed. The next thing is about the condition of your hands and arms and fingers. Usually we use one posture which we call as the posture of knowledge, as it is called. In that posture knowledge, as you can see how it is to be practiced, you have to join both the tips of your index finger and thumb, both the hands, both arms, and give slightly pressure. You have to generate a slight pressure between them. The three fingers, the remaining three fingers, they will be straight, and then place the whole of your palms on your knees in a straight position, and the upward part is facing the sky. So this is the way in which you have to keep your hands, arms and fingers. Another alternative posture, that is called Brahma Mudra or Vitara Mudra, as it is called in yoga language. You may keep one of your arms beneath the other one, both the palms set in such a way that the right palm is above the left palm, and both the thumbs, they are slightly touching each other, and you can see how it is practiced, and then try to practice it, and then keep your hands in your lap in this position. So this is alternative posture you can utilize, either the first, as it is called the posture of knowledge, that is Gyan Mudra, or the second posture, that is the Brahm Mudra or Vitarag Mudra, that is the posture of complete equanimity. So that either of the two postures you can utilize. The next thing about which you have to give time, you have to give attention, is your breathing process. Normally, we don't breathe in the way it should be breathed. So you have to also pay attention to your breathing. In meditation, it is advisable to make your breathing process as slow and as long as possible. Slower and longer. So for that you have to do the practice. Try to practice of breathing in and breathing out in a manner so that the rate of breathing is decreasing every time, and then when a state is achieved, then you have to continuously breathe rhythmically, that is maintaining the same rhythm throughout the session. So in this way, try to breathe slowly, and a long breathing is to be practiced. This is also necessary for more concentration, and also it will help internally because of the correct breathing that we shall discuss later on. So now let us conclude our first introductory session, in which we have tried to make clear the meanings of Preksha meditation, the literal meaning and the various significances it has with the spiritual philosophy as well as with the scientific interpretation, and about the preconditions in which you have to enter into meditation. That also I have explained. I have told you about the sitting posture now. In the standing posture, you have to stand straight, keeping your both the arms and hands touching your thighs, and in the same you may utilize the posture as it was told you in the sitting posture. And in lying down posture, we shall discuss it in detail when we do the practice of Kayotsarg, because mainly it is utilized at that time. So when we discuss about the topic of Kayotsarg, we shall consider the lying down posture. So I think I conclude my first introductory this lecture on Preksha meditation, and let us all try to understand the techniques and try to practice them sincerely with all the efforts, and that will give you success. Thank you.